Welcome back to the Neutral Zone. Today we're going to be talking about the Florida State Seminoles. Obviously, a lot of expectation heading into the season with Mike Norvell in the transfer portal. Another disappointing loss this week to Boston College after being a three possession favorite. I won't call it 3 touchdowns favorite. 3 possession favorite. Before we get into it, if you haven't already, please subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss a single upload. We're going to be doing our live show tomorrow, predicting week 2's games. Not many good games this next week. Kind of a dead week for us, but
Texas, Michigan.
But nonetheless, we are going to recap, the majority of what's gone out throughout the week, maybe injury report, stuff like that, and then predict the games. Sunday, we'll have a live show recapping the games and any news, big news from college football. But, Dad, let's get right into it. How do you feel about Florida State? We are who they thought they were. So how do you feel about them?
Well, I know you were down on them. There's some issues. And I'm going to be honest, and I know you're going to protect them. But I think DJU is
I'm not going to protect him, but go ahead.
I know he's a Clemson guy, but DJU is part of that. If you watch this game against Boston College, as they were driving, trying to mount a comeback, 3 times, I think, at the goal line, he just threw bad passes, a bad interception when they were trying to drive to come back. He just missed passes over and over. Now, I know you have mentioned that you think part of that is the offense, which, hey, I'm not going to say that doesn't play a part in it. But when your team is rallying and you are down to a team that you should be beating, and you're supposed to be a 5-star big-time quarterback, you've been trying to prove this in every stop. You got to make passes when those are needed. You have a wide-open guy in the back of the end zone, and you miss him, and miss him bad. I'm like not close. You have now lost 2 games. This is a team that went 13-0 and won the ACC, running away last year, and you've lost to Georgia Tech and Boston College. Those are two games. When I looked at the schedule, even without knowing much about what this Florida State team was going to be this year because of the amount of turnover, those are 2 games I chalked up as wins. When I look at the rest of this schedule, that's where you started to have some concern. I think Memphis has an opportunity to beat them. SMU has a pretty good team. Clemson, Duke, Miami, North. Those were the games that I expected could have been a toss-up or could have went one way or the other. These are 2 games that, even as we did our preview video, that I had as easy wins. So my concern becomes, well, if you lost the games that were supposed to be easy wins and you lost both of them handedly, right? The Georgia Tech game, we can say kind of, but Georgia Tech, if you watch that game, to me, had that game under control most of the game. This game, there was never a point in time where Florida State was in this game. So if you can't be in games against a Boston College and against Georgia Tech, I don't know what this season looks like for you. You might be, much like that Florida team, you might be fighting for 6-6, 5-7 at the end of this year. What's your thoughts, Stephen?
So, again, I do not like Florida State, and I'm going to take pride in saying I told everyone so. This team was going to be bad. I didn't expect them to lose these 2 games, so I'm not going to say before the Georgia Tech game, I did say they were going to lose that game, so I do want to say that. But I did not expect them to lose this game. Thought this team would be an 8-win team. I don't see that happening at this point. I understand after this game the kind of the hate DJ has received. I understand it. I'm not here to defend it, but I will just say DJ is not the only reason this team is losing. No. So I do want to point out they have been outrushed 450 yards to 120 yards by Georgia Tech and Boston College. They were penalized 7 times compared to 1 in this game. So although DJU has not been able to put the ball in places where they want them to, the rest of the team has been atrocious. Boston College ran for 260 yards on this team.
And this was supposed to be a good defense, a top front 4.
And I don't think this is the same scenario as a Clemson, where over time Georgia just kind of got up on them. And at the end of the day, Georgia Tech and Boston College is not Georgia. So I understand the argument's going to come, well, when your team is going 3 and out, it doesn't help you. Yeah, but you're playing Boston College and Georgia Tech. You're not going – you can have that argument if you were playing a top 10 team. If this happened against an LSU, a USC, a team that is a perennial power, then we can have that discussion. Yeah. But when we're talking about Boston College and Georgia Tech, your defense should still be able to force turnovers. They should still be able to get stops. I don't give a damn how long your offense is off the field for. You should still be able to get stops because you have more talent than what's on the other side of the football. Not only that, I think coaching has been piss poor. I don't think they have the weapons on the outside. Like I said from the jump, I don't think Malik Benson is a true number one. I don't think Roydell Williams
over these 2 games, 72 yards receiving total. So that's 36 yards a game.
But here's the thing. We came into this season. I already said this on multiple videos. He has 100 yards receiving in 4 years at the collegiate level. You couldn't have expected him to come in and be the guy. Jalen Lucas, obviously a smaller, faster back. He cannot be the guy when you haven't seen that from him. Roydell Williams was running back by committee at Alabama. Obviously, Toafili, I felt very comfortable with Toafili. I think he's a very good running back.
Was going to eat.
But I think overall, the running game has been atrocious. I think the front seven has been atrocious.
When you talk about Toafili, you're talking about he only has 9 rushes so far this year. And again, you mentioned their ineptitude in running the ball, 2.5 yards per carry this year.
Yeah, so I do want to hit on this. I know Fatal Jedi will probably see this video. I do want to hit on this. As much as I hate Florida State, I look at this as a more of a, just to kind of get off topic here, this transfer portal narrative. So it's like, okay, Florida State is doing so bad now. And what we have found to do is still somehow relate this to Clemson because DJU is playing bad. So we're not going to relate it to the fact that they have all new wide receivers in the transfer portal. We're not going to relate it to the fact that the offensive line is all new in the transfer portal or the running back core is new. We're not going to blame the transfer portal for these inefficiencies as an 0-2 start. We're going to blame DJ because DJ wasn't good because he came from Clemson. So it still somehow circulates back to the fact that Clemson is the reason the transfer portal is not successful and that Florida State is not successful this year. So what I pray happens is they bring in Brock Glenn or they bring in the other quarterback and this team continues to lose. Because then what is going to be your excuse? Then what somebody's going to say is, well, here's what's going to happen. They're going to bring Brock Glenn in or someone else. They're going to lose to a Memphis or an SMU. And then they're still going to find a way to blame DJ and say that the momentum was killed early in the year because of what he did. That's exactly what's going to happen.
I think you got a yin and yang. And I will say, and again, I do not agree with Dabo's take on the transfer portal. So let me say that. But I also don't agree on Norval's take on the transfer portal, which is I'm going to build an entire team. I think the way to use the transfer portal is similar to a Georgia, a Ohio State, and Alabama. Hey, I'm going to fill spots. Norval is trying to change his team every year with the transfer portal. And again, no knock to Dabo. I think he's an amazing coach. I think the first game it was not indicative of who Clemson's going to be. I suspect Clemson's still going to be a 9-10 win team this year. But I think where Dabo did miss the mark is what he could have used the transfer portal was to pick and choose those little spots that maybe needed a little influx of talent and to add maybe a little bit of depth. I think that's the only thing that maybe is going to hurt Clemson. But I think you're seeing the flip side with Florida State where, hey, like you mentioned, I think you mentioned this last week, Jordan Travis was the thing that kept this together last year.
Common denominator.
But it's hard to change an entire offense, bring in new parts like we're talking NFL free agency, and get chemistry and get them all rolling the right way. And we're seeing this with Florida State.
So, and the part that pisses me off is Florida State knew what they were getting out of DJ. So that's like you, and this is going to be a very extreme like analogy. So bear with me. But that's like you marrying a cheater and then they cheat on you and you're surprised they cheat on you. Like we knew DJ wasn't a guy that you can rely on to win you games. So now when you're trying to rely on him to win you games, now it's like, oh my God, he's not what we thought. You knew what you were getting. And another thing that I want to hit on is, again, so if DJU would have came in, or we don't even use DJU, what would have been the argument if, let's say, Nate Johnson, the quarterback from Utah, who went to Vanderbilt, let's say he would have went to Florida State and they wouldn't be succeeding. What would the argument be? Because you can't say DJU has been not good anywhere. The argument is never going to be the issue is the transfer portal.
I don't think we can say. I could say at Oregon State last year, he didn't have a bad year. He was serviceable. At
22
Clemson,
touchdowns, 7 interceptions is not bad.
Clemson, he was serviceable. It was now this year he has looked bad. But at his last 2 stops, I don't think it was take over games and look like the 5-star number 1 or number 2 quarterback. I know he was in that conversation between him and Bryce Young and CJ Stroud, which obviously looks a little crazy now. So I don't think he's played up to those expectations. But I don't think, and I'm going to, again, removing this year and what we've seen so far this year, I don't think this was a big bust, right? I mean, you're talking 21, 22 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's a serviceable season. But my question, do you think Norvell's on the hot seat?
No, I don't. Again, I think what people fail to realize is Norvell was undefeated in the regular season last year. You're not going to win every game. You're not. I mean, and I think what casual college football fans or casual sports fans in general, they let mainstream media, people who are supposed to get on and have hot takes, brainwash you and drive these BS narratives. Like, for example, they made you guys think Colorado was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
Good point.
Their team was 4-8, and they had the most coverage in all of college football. And then now we turn around, and now we see the transfer portal is the greatest thing ever. We have these talk shows talking about the transfer portal that they never talk about college football, but they talk about the transfer portal because it's a cool thing to talk about. It's an easy way to get clicks. So now this is what I pray to God this happens. I pray that they bench DJ for the rest of the season. This team goes 6-6, and I want to know what the narrative is going to be, because I guarantee you they're not going to blame the portal. They're going to blame a different reason on why they're going to say,
yeah, so it's funny.
DJU started bad. It's not because of the portal. It's not because of the portal. And that's what I don't agree with, because then again, Clemson could finish the year 11-1. They won't give credit for not using the portal. They'll still say, well, you wouldn't have lost the first game if you used the portal. And it's the same concept. I challenge everybody who's watching this video, point to me a success story that the portal has been a part of. And I'm not talking about one player.
Well, everybody's going to say Florida State last year.
Okay, but again, so if we're just saying to succeed and to not win a championship, then okay, cool. But any team could go and win the ACC. Pitt did it 2 years ago, 3 years ago. So it's not like you can't point to me and tell me Georgia didn't use the portal heavy in the first 2 championships they just won. Michigan didn't use the portal in last year's championship. The portal has only really been nationally relevant since COVID. And Georgia won the national championship post-COVID, or, the height of COVID. Yeah. So we've had 3 national champions since then. Georgia twice, Michigan.
Now,
no real champions.
The difference is
from the COVID.
All of those teams did use the portal. They did not use it heavily. I think, and that's where I say the other drastic side of this is that Clemson is refusing to use the portal whatsoever.
Well, this is where I push back. So Clemson finished 9-4 last year.
Okay.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Colorado had the best portal class, or what do you want to call it, right? They finished 4-8. Even if you look at other people who made big splashes in the portal, USC looked great in the portal, grabbed a bunch of people. They finished 9-4. Didn't talk anything about the portal. It was just, the defense is not good. Lincoln Riley doesn't play defense. What other team used the portal heavy last year? Did Tennessee use the portal heavy? Florida State, obviously, they did really good. But so when you look at teams who use the portal heavy, Nebraska used the portal heavy. Oregon State obviously used the portal heavy.
Yeah.
And again, all of these teams all had the same thing in common with Clemson, 9 or 10 wins. But we blame Dabo for not using the portal and only getting to 9 or 10 wins. But then we're gonna have an Ole Miss, who I'm very high on. Ole Miss used the portal better than anybody this year.
Yeah.
When they have 9 or 10 wins, are we gonna say it was a successful year? But then when Dabo goes 9 or 10 wins, are we gonna say he shouldn't have got that because of the portal? So that's what I don't agree with. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that statement. Same thing with A&M. A&M used the portal. Oregon used the portal. So all these teams that use the portal, even if it's 3 players or 30 players, unless you are making a deep playoff run, I don't want to hear it, because you're getting as far as Clemson's getting without using the portal. So what are we saying?
Well, so it's a little bit different, because Clemson's the only team that didn't use the portal at all. So if you say there has to be a delineation between 3 and 30, right? Especially if we're using this as an experiment to say, how much does using the portal actually affect your success, right? So if a team, and let me take a team like Georgia. If Georgia wins the national championship, well, they did get players out of the portal. They got London Humphreys, and I'm sure they got more that I'm not thinking of. But they don't use it heavy, right?
Well, so that's different. So
right,
if that's, again, we're projecting at this point. We're predicting. So if Georgia were to win it, that would debunk my whole statement right now.
Right.
But the same thing with like a Texas. I think Texas getting Isaiah Bond, getting Makuba, getting You know, I think they got a defensive tackle as well. That's a team that if they won, you could point to players and say they got whatever. But the Washington team last year didn't use the portal, at least for no. I mean, Penix maybe if you want to call Penix
Well, they
a
got
portal
Penix
player.
2 years ago.
Yeah, so if you want to call Penix a portal player, I'll give you that. But Michigan didn't really use the portal.
They had a
Alabama.
left tackle that they got from the portal, but again, nothing major. Nothing.
So when we point to, because even so, what they do is they go to and they say Clemson has never used a starter in the portal, because now it's no longer Clemson gets somebody from the portal, because we got somebody from the portal. He just is a third string quarterback. So now they change it. It's, well, Clemson doesn't have a starter in the portal. So instead of adding depth, now you have to get a starter player in the portal. And it's, like I said, it's going to be a snowball effect. We could go get a kicker out of the portal. They're going to say any non-special teams player from the portal. And
well, but the
continue.
Story or the narrative did change this year specifically because, again, yes, they brought a quarterback that they originally had recruited back.
Correct.
And then they got nobody this past year. Literally three teams got nobody. Navy, Air Force, who cannot take somebody from the portal, and then Clemson.
Yeah, so I'm just eager to see what the Florida State narrative will be. Obviously, if they let DJ play the rest of the year, everybody's going to blame DJ. They're not going to blame the portal. They're not going to blame Roydell Williams. They're not going to blame anybody on the D line, any Malik Benson. They're not going to blame anybody. I guess DJ,
you got to look bigger. This is a team issue.
So I just think that's what's funny to me. So I hope DJ doesn't play at some point, so we can see that this team doesn't look any better with or without him. So I mean, we'll just have to see. Florida State fans, let us know what you think. I probably have you guys going like 6-6 at this point.
I'll be honest,
and that's
that might be shocking. Like I said, because I can find another 5 or 6 teams that I think are better than Georgia Tech and Boston College left on their schedule.
Yeah, no, probably more than that, to be honest. I mean, I think Memphis is better than Boston College.
Both of those teams. Yeah,
and so is SMU. So we'll just have to see. But let us know in the comments what you guys think. Make sure you guys come to the live show tomorrow. We're going to be predicting all of the college football week 2 games, so the top 25 games. We'll probably also talk about the portal as well with more people in the comment section. So let us know.
Absolutely.
Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell. We'll see you guys next time. Peace out, everybody.
Peace.